can't drive right now, and this is kind of that drive streamy kind of material. So I'm going to sit here and hold my hands like this, right? So it'll look like I'm driving something. No, that's silly. Anyway, there were two things on my mind up front. Maybe one or two other honorable mentions, perhaps that will emerge. But two things happened today that I thought were very very interesting. Um, we have on one hand very large news about um, American South African relations. The president of South Africa today, and I watched the live stream on it, right? And we are seeing the president being one whom is giving the uh, direct addressment to the other president about the issue in plain, direct words, right? Acknowledging um, the what was before suppressed realities about things, right? Um, I had been one way back in the Revolution Radio days, was covering the South Africa um, situation once or twice with a handful of people. It's one of the great, one of those crazy wrongs that just doesn't seem to make sense other than looking at it in perspective and then realizing that, well, it does unfortunately make sense if you see the attitudes on a certain level for a certain populace uh, and the attitudes of blacks and whites between their populace in your own country, which America's in a unique place for that because of uh, our diversity in order to see it, right? And I see the same attitude of just black supremacist gangland in America versus the attitudes of those that blame all white people for the crimes of the British and are blaming the Dutch because they don't know the difference between the British and the Dutch. And that's kind of where that history is coming from. It's practically a doesn't matter where you came from, you look exactly the same as the people we don't like. And so then they just make that about a greater issue of, oh man, the colonialists and shit. None of that fucking bullshit makes sense. And um, and yeah, colonialism and all that nonsense. Um, yeah, let me say this about colonialism, right? Because I'm getting really sick of um, this leftist pseudo lingo about all this kind of stuff, these nationalist versus globalist theories, capitalist versus socialist theories, and so on and so forth, uh, and all this vernacular is a little twisted because it oh, Pearl, I'm glad you're here because when I'm done with this, I'm going to be talking about a certain trial going on with a certain person who was very fond of parties. But anyway, um, so just I've been making this point, looking at it as an American. I'm just like, if you go back in time and you look at in general where we were at, whether anybody liked it or not, we needed to we needed to move. You know, we were in a process of doing a whole thing. Everybody had a little empire, And those empires had uno momento. There we go. And those empires, they were all competing, right? So you're one particular kind of empire with a particular kind of attitude and particular kind of interest, and you make particular kinds of agreements when you travel for your needs. Just like anybody who is expanding would, and you don't expand unless you got a population to expand. And if you're in a growth spiral, excuse me. So if you're in a growth spiral, you need to expand, right? Because you have to support your population, so on and so forth. We show up. We got people here, not very well developed. That's fine. But our enemies are also coming in. They treat people differently. We don't like the way that they treat people, and we got to deal with them as competition, right? And my long story short is you had the French, the Spanish, the English, technically the Dutch, but primarily the English, the French, and the Spanish. We're all here in the fucking Americas. Okay? Yes, it's all a colonial fucking thing. But you also have these people, they talk from a place of history, like it was all like everybody just wanted them to get the fuck out. No, a lot of them wanted us here. Why? Because they were fighting amongst them fucking selves, and they said, no, 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 you stay, teach us how to shoot guns. We got enemies, we want to shoot guns, right? The French taught the natives how to scalp people, and we just think that's a Native American thing. It's something that we gave the Native Americans to do as part of a headhunting operation. It was headhunting. They were doing jobs. The French hired them to go after some fucking people, and they said, "Well, look, you don't have to bring the whole fucking head. Just bring the top of their head." And that's how scalping started. Anyway, so all that language just needs to shut the fuck up, because everywhere we go, everybody is begging for the developed world to help the developing world, aka the first world countries, to come in for the third world countries. It's been the way that it fucking is. Because back then, things like the Iroquois Confederacy didn't look at themselves the same way that these underdeveloped nations look at themselves now. It did not fucking work like that one iota. But that's a fantasy, because we need good guys and we need bad guys. We need to play cowboys and Indians, and we need to flip the script as to whether the Indians win that day and how we feel about the Indians winning in our story that day, so we change the story. Right? This is the thing that happens. So, all these things being considered, say what you will about whether you think South Africa's in the right for its policies and whatever lie you think somebody is saying about what South Africa is doing, and that there is no reason to be good to the white people, these Dutch farmer descendants in South Africa. Okay, you can go ahead and say that. South Africa's public global posture is that they aren't doing these things, though. So that puts them on the stand, whether you agree with what they may in fact be doing or not. It is not the global consensus. So I find that very interesting. There, hopefully, that kind of saying it, that kind of exposure, right? In fact, it was very interesting. President Trump did say something about just the merit of exposing a thing changes everything. often the exposure itself is the catalyst that makes everything else work, and that things change much easier afterwards because often the exposure is hard. Like, I'm kind of paraphrasing like everything he was contextually saying in the moment that he talked about the exposure, and he had scathing criticism of certain press outlets, of course. So yeah, now thing two, which I just came across my desk from a video somebody had put together with cuts of footage and cuts of court sketches, and this is the Sean Combs trial, and I guess day three was today or something, and in that trial, Prince was recorded with a testimony before he died about his eyewitness account of events at the party. And that was all kept quiet. I think Prince's original intentions was just, when I die, Dead Man Trigger, let it out. But somebody took it and weaponized it against Sean in the courtroom, and it fucking worked. Right? They explained everything that went on via Diddy's reaction to all of that stuff that was being said. And so this is involving, like, Will Smith's name has dropped. And I saw the picture too. I was like, oh, Will looked like Will Smith was in some sort of circle jerk. Oh my god. Um, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, no, Prince is a hero. Prince always been a hero, right? I can see exactly why he, like, at the end of his court statement, it said that Prince's thing was that he said that he put it out because he didn't want to get, like, disappeared from, like, the public or whatever, right? So, like, yeah, it sounds like it's, oh yeah, because he didn't want to, like, lose his job. Like, no, it's not your job. It's, they disappear you so that way you no longer have the protection, right? It would be the equivalent of, say, somebody made a coordinated strike against all of my public interface, so therefore I have no connection to anybody, and then something happens to me, and then it goes unnoticed, right? And it'd be like, oh, whatever happened to Zeralath? Well, what was his real name again? Steve something, right? This is the kind of shit that happens. Um, but yeah, no. There's a whole lot of possibility with this matter. A tremendous amount of possibility. Um, because I heard that a whole lot of celebrities were gonna, like, end up getting named and stuff. So apparently, there's more names gonna be going around. This guy was doing some serious high level shit. Some serious, like high level in entertainment world shit, right? People have been saying that allegedly he is the Epstein of Hollywood, right? So the question is, does this get to a level that matters? Right? Does it get to a level that matters? Maybe it'll take down the media. Who knows? Maybe it'll take down the media. Maybe names of people that are producers for fucking MSNBC or something show up. That you, like, not because they were producers of MSNBC. Maybe they worked for TMZ back in the day and then they got a job in the mainstream media or something like that. Yeah. You've got a good intuitive for that, Pearl. Yeah. Um, because there's a whole lot of celebrities out there, and I think unfortunately not all of them are going to be justiced by this one, right? Because I don't think the same shadow figures that, for instance, took away all of the alt rock greats like Chris Cornell and uh, and Chester Bennington, and all that. I don't believe, I don't believe that this is going to cross over to them, because I don't think they were doing that side of parties in the entertainment business, right? So that would be a completely different animal altogether, right? And so the only reason why any of this matters is because I think we're so inundated with bullshit entertainment, bullshit media, and bullshit art that we're not capable of defending the arts right now. We don't know, what bands matter, what artists matter. We don't know what films and filmmakers matter anymore, right? That's why everything is just, nobody knows what to value. That's why all the movies are coming out like shit, and it's just like, you could have made a beautiful film right here, but instead you gave me hot garbage, right? This has been everybody's complaint, is like, how do you keep doing this to these people's like franchises? You have an original story here, and you threw away that story and you made this weird story. And because there's an interesting matter in which the talent pool is so criminally corrupt that they couldn't pass over the next generation. They were so disengaged from what was the new level for everybody, whether it was your weird false programming instituted in the institutions, or whether you're part of the various things that have emerged out of internet people, right? Or you're some sort of like homegrown conservative branch of things. There's like one movie studio that does like faith-based films and stuff like that that's out there. So this whole industry, so the whole industry is it's fucked. And it really affects Americans particularly, because Americans, um, you know, characters at play is kind of our culture in America. In America, we set up scenarios where we get to enjoy seeing somebody achieve larger than lifeness, because we want to be a culture of people who find the specialist of persons and lift them up. And that's kind of like what our celebrity thing is, right? Our culture is to find the stars, the people who have the ideas that put in to the world things that make the world more enriched and interesting. And that's our culture, right? Embedded in ideals of our Constitution. And that's about it, right? Because we're 250 years old as a nation, and we all sailed over here and took someone else's land to start new history on it. And we're a little disconnected from our ancestral past, and it takes a certain learning curve, as well as accepting that something new has to emerge from it. This is why Americans are not English, right? We were, after what, 1600 something, right? Like after 150 years, American colonists didn't feel like British subjects anymore. They felt like their own thing with their own vernacular, their own in bed economy and defense. Just like all the little things that made our revolution work in the first place. Everything except for a rich culture of our own. We had to kind of develop it in the spot because of this new manner of doing things. It's that step towards the modernist in a sense, right? You know, we may have been the first anti-monarchist people, but we didn't even want to overthrow a king. We just wanted to kick a king out of our jurisdiction because it's not really part of your kingdom, and you're doing this all in bad faith. So anyway, those are two things that have just been on my mind today as these significant deals. Otherwise, I'm gonna have some. It's kind of dinner, kind of lunch. I'm eating in a shift. It's actually my lunch, but I'm having it at dinner time, and I'm gonna have my dinner later. Okay, bye.